Aisha El-Rufai locked out of court after former Kaduna State Governor arraigned for money laundering. Former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai was arraigned in court following persistent public pressure on the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, marking a dramatic and deeply symbolic turn in the relationship between the president and his once close political ally. The development has sent shockwaves across Nigeria's political landscape, reigniting conversations about loyalty, power, betrayal, and the unpredictable nature of political alliances in Africa's most populous nation. The arraignment, however, was quickly overshadowed by a deeply distressing scene outside the courtroom, where El-Rufai's wife, Aisha, was denied entry by security personnel stationed at the entrance of the court. Visibly frustrated and emotionally overwhelmed, Aisha was heard expressing her anguish in the local language, saying, "This life is simple, these too shall pass," a statement widely interpreted as the family viewing the ongoing legal proceedings as a painful tribulation they remain hopeful of surviving. The moment was captured on video and quickly spread across social media platforms, drawing widespread public attention and igniting a fierce national conversation about how the families of accused persons are treated within Nigeria's justice system. Aisha's exclusion from the court sparked both public sympathy and considerable debate among Nigerians. Political observers and commentators were quick to note that her comparatively lower public profile, particularly when measured against El-Rufai's more prominent wife, who served as First Lady during his tenure as Kaduna State Governor, may have contributed to her being unrecognized by the security agents manning the courthouse gate. Unlike the wives of other prominent Nigerian politicians who are widely known by the public due to their visibility during their husband's time in office, Aisha operated largely away from the public spotlight, making her a less recognizable figure to security personnel who may have mistaken her for an ordinary spectator or distant relative. One social media user, identified as Sir Usman Babaji, shared a widely circulated post that powerfully captured the painful irony of Aisha's situation. In his post, Babaji recounted personally witnessing Aisha tirelessly canvassing support for the Tinubu administration across Kaduna State, moving from house to house and from one neighborhood to another, passionately pleading with ordinary citizens to back the man who is now prosecuting her husband. At a point, I even thought she would be among those at the very top enjoying the power she worked so hard to help build, the post read. But today, in a heartbreaking twist, she was denied access to the court just to see her own husband. Life has a way of humbling us. Sometimes, those who give their all for a cause end up with the least in return. The post resonated deeply with many Nigerians, sparking a broader conversation about the risks of tying one's personal fortunes too closely to the political ambitions of others. Political analysts emphasized that while Aisha's loyalty and sacrifice deserve recognition and respect, they do not and should not translate into immunity for the law for her husband. The rule of law must apply equally to all citizens, regardless of their past political contributions or personal relationships with those in power. El-Rufai himself was widely acknowledged as one of the most instrumental figures in delivering critical northern support for Tinubu's successful 2023 presidential campaign. The former governor used his considerable political influence, networks, and resources to mobilize backing for Tinubu at a time that the now president needed it most. However, the relationship between the two men has since deteriorated sharply and publicly, with El-Rufai now finding himself on the opposite side of the political and legal divide from the man he helped elevate to the nation's highest office. Beyond the money laundering charges for which he was arraigned, El-Rufai faces a daunting array of additional serious allegations. These include charges connected to the mysterious disappearance of journalist Dandiata, widely believed to have occurred under instructions linked to the former governor. He also faces accountability questions over the brutal crackdown on the Shia el-Zakazi movement during his time in office, a chapter of his governorship that drew intense national and international criticism. Additionally, allegations of illegal phone tapping have surfaced, stemming from damaging revelations Elrufia himself made during a live television appearance on Channels Television, disclosures that appear to have further complicated his already precarious legal situation. The legal battles arrive with a particularly striking and deeply ironic historical footnote that has not been lost on Nigerians following the story closely. Sheikh Ibrahim el-Zakazi, the leader of the Islamic movement of Nigeria, whom El-Rufai once vowed would remain in detention until fully acquitted, is today a free man walking the streets without restraint. Meanwhile, the former governor who imprisoned him and made that bold declaration is himself now facing the very prospect of incarceration. It is a reversal of fortunes that many Nigerians have described as poetic justice and one that speaks loudly to the transient and unpredictable nature of power.
Political analysts and commentators are now warning that the manner in which the Tinubu administration is handling the El-Rufai prosecution risks producing an unintended and potentially dangerous political consequence: the transformation of the former governor into a sympathetic figure and political martyr. In Nigerian political culture, as in many societies, people tend to naturally sympathize with those they perceive as being persecuted by the powerful. El-Rufai, once regarded as one of the most powerful and at times ruthless governors in Nigeria's recent history, is increasingly being cast in the role of the underdog, the oppressed, and the victim of political persecution by those who feel the charges against him are motivated more by politics than by genuine concern for justice. This sentiment appears to be gaining traction most strongly in the north of the country, where El-Rufai commands significant respect and admiration among the Talakawa, the ordinary, common people, who have long viewed him as a champion of their interests despite controversies surrounding his governorship. Senior northern political stakeholders, including former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, have already begun publicly speaking out in El-Rufai's favor, a development that signals growing unease within the northern political establishment about how the Tinubu administration is managing the situation. Political watchers caution that if the federal government does not proceed with demonstrable transparency, fairness, and strict adherence to due process, it risks turning El-Rufai into an unstoppable political symbol, one that could seriously damage Tinubu's standing in the north ahead of future electoral contests. As the legal proceedings continue to unfold in the days and weeks ahead, the El-Rufai case stands as a powerful and sobering reminder of the volatile, unpredictable, and often brutally unforgiving nature of Nigerian politics. A man who was once counted among the most powerful political figures in the country, who played kingmaker in one of Nigeria's most consequential presidential elections, now sits in the dock facing serious criminal charges brought by the very government he helped create. His wife, who sacrificed her own comfort and privacy to campaign for that very same government, found herself locked outside a courthouse, unable even to stand beside her husband in his moment of greatest vulnerability. It is a story that transcends politics. It is a lesson about power, how quickly it comes, how suddenly it goes, and how mercilessly it can turn on those who once wielded it or served it most faithfully.